This is Story Time, as presented by the 5-Minute Podcast. Today's episode: a slice of small-town life. In the small town of Meadowbrook, where the days passed by with the comforting predictability of a ticking clock, John Hastings felt that his life was the very definition of normal. Every morning, he'd wake up to the sound of birdsong and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. The sun would paint the sky in shades of orange and pink, and John would start his day with a smile, looking forward to the routine that had become his sanctuary. John lived in a cozy, suburban house with a white picket fence that circled the perfectly manicured lawn. His wife, Sarah, was the embodiment of domestic bliss, always greeting him with a loving kiss before she headed off to her job at the local library. Their two children, Emma and Ethan, were bright, well-behaved kids who excelled in school and played Little League baseball on the weekends. John's job at the town's hardware store was steady, uneventful, and provided just enough to keep their family comfortable. Life in Meadowbrook had always been unremarkable, and John had never desired anything more. It was a place where neighbors knew each other's names, and the biggest scandal in recent memory had been Mr. Johnson's cat getting stuck in a tree. One sunny Saturday morning, John decided to take a leisurely stroll through the town's park. As he wandered beneath the ancient oaks and listened to the babbling brook, something peculiar caught his eye. It was a squirrel, perched on a branch overhead, which seemed to be chattering away at him in a language that John couldn't quite grasp. He chuckled to himself, attributing it to the whimsical nature of his imagination. It wasn't until the following week that John felt something was truly amiss. While he was driving to work, he noticed that the street signs no longer bore the familiar names of their destinations. Instead, they displayed strange symbols and glyphs that sent a chill down his spine. He pulled over, convinced it was a prank, but when he asked a passerby for directions, they stared at him as if he were speaking nonsense. Confused and unnerved, John continued into work, hoping it was just a momentary lapse in his perception, and that a good night's sleep would see his world return to normalcy. But as the days went by, more unsettling events unfolded. His co-workers, once friendly and familiar, now wore blank expressions and spoke in a disjointed, robotic manner. The world around him seemed to flicker and glitch, as if reality itself were buffering. Time passed. Not in the sense of the moving from day to day in a regular tempo and time, but in the way that time seems to slow down in inverse proportion to one's descent into madness. John was tormented by nightmares that blurred the lines between waking and sleeping. In his dreams, he encountered grotesque, otherworldly creatures that whispered forbidden secrets into his ears. These encounters left him with a profound sense of dread that lingered long after he awoke. His family, too, had changed. Sarah's once warm smile had become a cold, fixed grin. And his children, once filled with sweetness and warmth, spoke flatly in riddles and cryptic messages. Emma, with eyes that seemed to contain galaxies within, told him that he needed to awaken to the truth. Ethan, his voice echoing from a place beyond, urged him to find the forgotten path. Desperation consumed John as he sought answers in the town's library, a place he had always considered a sanctuary of knowledge. But the books contained gibberish and gibberish alone, the words forming patterns that made his head ache and his skin crawl. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, John found himself standing once again in front of the town's enigmatic oak tree, its gnarled branches twisting and writhing as if they were alive. The whispers of the tree were louder than ever, beckoning him to embrace the chaos, to let go of the false reality. In a moment of despair, John surrendered to the madness. He closed his eyes and embraced the chaos, allowing it to consume him. And then, everything changed. He opened his eyes to find himself in a vast, surreal landscape, surrounded by towering monoliths of incomprehensible geometry. The whispers of the tree had transformed into a chorus of voices, harmonizing with the universe itself. He felt weightless, his form dissolving into pure consciousness. In that moment, John Hastings realized the horrifying truth. He was not a man in a small town. He was not even human. He was a fragment of existence, a fleeting thought in the mind of a cosmic being, adrift in an infinite sea of possibilities. The revelation filled him with a profound sense of peace. As he surrendered to the cosmic dance, he knew that his existence was both meaningless and infinitely significant. In the vast tapestry of existence, he was but a single stroke of the artist's brush, a fleeting note in the symphony of the cosmos. He was truly and forever free. And so, in the end, John Hastings ceased to exist as a man in Meadowbrook, but he became something far greater. A part of the infinite, ever-unfolding story of the universe itself. As for the town of Meadowbrook, it continued to exist in its own peculiar way, a place where reality and unreality coexisted in a delicate balance. The townsfolk went about their lives, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama that had played out in their midst. And somewhere, in the deepest recesses of the multiverse, John Hastings floated in a glass of gin and tonic, as a slice of lemon, forever lost in the swirling currents of existence. There was no end. One could never truly say there was a beginning. This has been Story Time as presented by the 5 Minute Podcast.